Good afternoon, everyone. I will discuss today the sample size determination or a statistical problem which we generally come across during our PG uh, program. So I will start with this. I am Dr. Suresh Kumar, as already explained by Madam G. Now I will say something about this. Then, first of all, in our
हाँ जी सर.
these are hypotheses. First of all, hypothesis means a definite statement about your protocol or your thesis or your research problem. This hypothesis is of two types. First is null hypothesis. Null hypothesis means there is no difference basically. So that is why it is called null. Null means zero. It is some definite statement so as that to indicate that there is no difference or there is no relationship between the independent or dependent variables. Now there are two things has come. What do you mean by independent and dependent? Independent means which cannot be controlled. Dependent means they vary between among themselves, dependent variable and independent variables. So it is a difference, it is a statement with no difference in parameter. Suppose we are talking about mean. Mean, then in general, H naught will be defined as at mean of the first group is equal to same as mean of the second group. Or if we are talking about proportion, then the difference between the two proportions, say P1 and P2 is equal to 0. That means there is no, they are comparable. That is what our null hypothesis states. Example, response of drug A, that is P1 is the proportion, is same as response of drug B, which is the proportion of the second drug B. Or if it is a continuous data, mean age of postgraduate student of MAMC is same as postgraduate age of the postgraduate student of LNJP School of the Colleges of Delhi. Then another is alternate hypothesis. It is generally denoted by H1. In sometimes we also name it as HA. A means alternative hypothesis. So it is basically a complementary to the null hypothesis. Null hypothesis of no difference, but complementary will be there is a difference. So, hello. Mu1 H0 is equal to mu1 is equal to mu2. Or then alternate hypothesis will be complement to that. That means it is not equal. So mu1 is not equal to mu2. Then there are two different possibilities. Hello? Hello?
Yes sir.
Yes, sir.
सुनाई दे रहा ना आपको?
हाँ जी
Yes,
सर
sir.
बिल्कुल.
अच्छा, so okay. Either mu1 is greater than mu2 or mean of the first is less than the mean of the second. These are the possibilities. If we talk about the proportions, prevalence of the studies, then it will be P1 is equal to P2. That is prevalence of first is equal to prevalence of second. This will be H naught. But alternate of this will be they are not equal. That means some one proportion is more than the other. They are called generally these can be of one tail or it is also named as one-sided hypothesis. If it is two tail, this is called one tail or one tail because one is more than other or one is less than other. Then this is called your so this is the this is the protocol of starting the research. First of all, we state the null hypothesis and the alternate hypothesis. That means H node and H1 has to be defined. These are based on your primary, based on your study. This is basically based on primary objective. Then you have to state the level of significance. What do you mean by level of significance? Means how much error we can tolerate. Well, this is called alpha error. Alpha is the error. That means generally it is taken as 5%. Means we can tolerate only 5% error in the significance. Then third one is the state the power of the test. This is very important. These two are very important. Alpha is very serious error and power is important. One, this is designated as 1 minus beta, usually taken more than 80%. Then fourth problem is to calculate the adequate sample size. But this is based on alpha and beta and the estimate. Estimate means what is the mean, what is the standard deviation, what is the proportion, what is the standard error of that proportion. So basically sample size calculation needs your alpha, means level of significance, and then also we need beta, that is called 1 minus beta is designated as power, but alpha is also designated as type 1 error. Beta is designated as type 2 error. We will discuss this later on. And estimate. Basically, estimate is nothing but effect size. The effect size is nothing but difference between the two means or difference between the two proportions. Then fifth step is to apply an appropriate statistical test. That these are called test statistics. Generally, you might have come across with t-test, come across with chi-square test, f-test, or another test. Many more tests are there. So this comes under this. Then last option is to, based on this test statistics and our designated alpha and beta error, we want to conclude whether our study is significant or not. But the conclusion is based on the test statistics. But today we will confine to step 4, that is called sample size calculation. For this purpose, I need alpha, beta, and the estimate difference. Then now the first of all, we have discussed that alpha is required. Alpha is basically named as, also designated as type 1 error. What do you mean by error? This error is committed while saying something about the primary objective. It is nothing but probability of rejecting the null hypothesis when it is in reality true. That is also named as false positive. False positive, or probability of drawing a wrong conclusion in rejecting null hypothesis. Then this is called level of significance or alpha, or it is called as a type 1 error. इसका मतलब ये है कि यदि हम सही चीज को रिजेक्ट कर दें, उसकी जो प्रोबेबिलिटी होती है वो टाइप 1 एरर कहलाती है. मींस सेलेक्टिंग or adopting a false positive result is your type 1 error. Secondly, it is type 2 error. Another, the probability of accepting the null hypothesis. What is null hypothesis? Null hypothesis is that there is no difference in the estimate, whether they are prevalence or they are means. Then there is no difference. When it is not true, we accept the null hypothesis when it is not true. This is called beta. That means type 2 error. Another name for this is false negative. मतलब हमने उसको सही चीज को गलत मान लिया false negative करके. That this is called also probability of missing true difference. This is called type 2 error. Another version comes that is called power. Power, it is nothing but probability of rejecting the null hypothesis when it is not true. जब कोई चीज सही नहीं है और उसकी हमने हमने सही नहीं चीज को रिजेक्ट कर दिया, वो चीज पावर कहलाती है. दिस इज आल्सो power is designated beta. We have already calculated on the second step. Then 1 minus beta is your power. It is nothing but probability of correctly detecting the true difference. Example, H node. If H node is pregnant, woman will undergo normal delivery. Then means normal delivery means there will be a normal delivery. We need not to go. And H1 is a pregnant woman does require cesarean section. Then this is the alternate hypothesis. This is the example of H node and H1. So I will again give examples for type 1, type 2 error. This is first type 1 error, type 2 error. If you look at the column, this is the truth. And if you go row wise, then this is the decision taken by the researcher or the investigator. So the row wise things are your researchers things, but if you go column wise existing reality, this is the truth. If we go pathologically or histopathologically, then biopsy gives you the truth. Then biopsy is the existing reality. And here, suppose we want to compare with something else, then this is the decision based on your clinical parameters. Then this is the scenario. Look at this existing scenario. Group H node we have designated as that there is no difference between group 1 and group 2. And we said that it is true. That means there is no difference, but when you have conducted some experiment and on the basis of your experiment, you saw that you need to reject the null hypothesis, saying that group A is not equal to group B, then what we have done? But the सही चीज को हमने गलत कह दिया. This is called type 1 error. Means actually there was no difference, but on the basis of our calculations or our experiment, we said there is a difference. That means group A is not equal to group B, and this is called false positive. This is called false positive. Another name is type 1 error. Another, it is designated as alpha error also. That means it is a mistake. It is an error. This is called type 1 error. On the other hand, reality says that both the groups are not true, and you have also found that they are not same. That means it is a correct decision. This will give you the power of the study. That is called 1 minus beta. Look at this second one, accept H node. You said that both the groups are true, but existing reality says that they are also same. You also said same, but actually they are same. That means it is a correct decision. Then this is called level of confidence or level of significance. 1 minus alpha. 1 minus alpha. 1 minus alpha, because alpha was there, the total probability is 1. So this will be 1 minus alpha. Look at here, it is 1 minus, this is another type of error, beta. You said that both the groups are same, but in reality they are not same. Then you have committed an error. This error is designated as type 2 error. This is also named as false negative. Okay, then this is the, I will start with the normal distribution. Sorry. Normal distribution is the mother of all science. So this is basically the base of our statistical development. This is called normal distribution. it has got, it increases, then after some time it is at a stagnation position, then it come down. This is called normal. But the beauty of this curve is that both the mean, this is the mean, median, mode, all lie at in the center. This is median, mean, and mode. But this is one first quartile. You know, quartile means dividing the whole series into 4 equal part is called quartiles. First, less than 25% of the sorted values or arranged value, which the number which says that it is 25th number is called your first quartile. Then second quartile is your 50th. 50th is also your median value, 50%. And this is third quartile. Third quartile means 75%. So this is 25%, 50%, 75%, and in this area it will be 100%. So this is a dumbbell shape figure. Just it increases. After that, everything goes down. Then whatsoever the situation is on the left side, the same type of situation will prevail on the right hand side of this line, which is called mean, median, mode line. And that is why it is called as a symmetric distribution or normal distribution. This is also named as Euler function, or in Gaussian function, this normal distribution are also named as this. Then comes various means. Each distribution is designated with respect to its mean and standard deviation. What do you mean by mean? Every location parameters are your each mean is nothing but sum of all continuous variable data divided by the number of data contained into it. So this is called mean. Whereas mean is also designated when it is named as sample is as x bar mean, but mu is generally represented for population. Now these two things have come, but we deal with the sample, but we want to tell something about the population under study. So that is means our aim is to derive more maximum from the sample and say something about the population under study, which is sometimes you also time frame of population under study. That means we want to say about that population only. So mu is the mean of that population. Sigma is nothing but standard deviation. Standard deviation is the variation of all variables, values from the away from the mean. मीन से ये वैल्यूज कितनी अवे होती हैं वो आपकी स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन बताती है. So these are the different normal curves. This has got different standard deviation, mean. This has got different mean, different standard deviation and mean. Look at here, there all are 3 means, but this has got -2 mean. So that is why it is away from 0. That means its center is -2 here. Center is -2. So this way we can say, so this is the normal curve. It is symmetric dumbbell shape whatsoever. This mean, median, mode all lie on one line. And one more characteristic is there, which I think someone will tell, that if you go 1 SD either side, it will cover 66%. If you go 2 SD either side, then 95.5% will cover. And if you go 3 SD plus minus 3 SD either side, then it will cover 99.75% of the observation into your consideration. So this is all about your normal curve. But here are, you will, for each mean and each standard deviation, you will get a different normal curve. So all these constitute a family of normal curve. Then this is the another beauty of this curve, normal curve. This is normal curve. This mean, median, mode are uh, this G here 0. When a distribution has got mean 0 and standard deviation as 1, then this is called standard normal curve. Again, I repeat, and in the previous slide, I have explained that the with the different means and different standard deviation, we will get different family of normal curve. But when we want to compare, then it is very difficult with the different means and standard deviation. For that purpose, we used to standardize the normal curve by this transformation. This transformation is called xi minus mu upon sigma. That means ही हर एक वैल्यू से उसकी मीन को माइनस करो और उसकी स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन कंबाइंड से डिवाइड करो, तो यदि नॉर्मल कर्व मीन म्यू एंड सिग्मा से बिलोंग करता है, then it will follow normal distribution with mean 0 and standard deviation will be 1. Now when each family of normal curve is converted to standard normal curve, then we can compare again. This is meant for comparison of two different normal scenarios. If you go either side with one SD, from this to this, it will cover 66% of your observation. If you go 2 SD from the mean is 0 here, 2 SD here and here, then the whole 95% of your data will be contained in these two limits. 2 SD either minus side or plus side. 0 minus 2 SD, 2 minus 2 2 2 will cover 95%. If you go 3 SD either side, it will contain 95. This is the beauty of this normal curve. That is why all the distributions are derived from this. So this is the mother, you can say mother distribution of statistics. Then these are the values which we generally come across for Z alpha, normal distribution. If we say 1% error, then alpha is taken as 0.1 or 1%. The value of that Z alpha will be 2.58. If generally we take 95%, then that means alpha is fixed at 5%. The pertaining value will be 1.96. This is what we are mostly using. And for power cases, we use 80% of the power, then beta will be 20%, and the value of Z beta will be 0.842. So these are very red one, they are most commonly used. But in clinical trials, we go one step further. Sometimes we take 90% as power, and then our beta will be 1.28 instead of your 0.1.84. Now, what are the determinants of why we use this sample? Importance of sample size. Why we need to calculate the sample size? Very important. We need to calculate the sample size to have appropriateness, validity of the results, applicability of the statistical tool. Example, for if n is varying, you may get many different type of results. Then these will not be applicable until unless there is no appropriateness. So that is why we need to calculate the sample size. Also, situation demands. New treatment is better than standard one. I think you will need to do something on this type of hypothesis. new treatment is better than this. Discard the new treatment if some slight better treatment is available. Does not wish to drop if new treatment is substantially superior. That means they are inferior treatment has come, but still last old one is still prevailing. So these are the various factors which compel us to calculate the sample size. Then sample size planning क्या करनी चाहिए, वो हमें चाहिए force specification outcome variables हमें पता होना चाहिए. These are there are many things we should know prior to calculation of study. Examples, those I want to study that 6 minute walk with respect to this particular exercise is more, well, in 6 minutes he can walk more than with the other method. It walks only 4 meter in 6 minutes. Then another method, if you have a new method, he can walk 8 minutes with that method. Then we need to calculate what we are doing, what we need, are what is my specific objective and what are my goals. So encouragement hona chahiye. So planning. First of all, what we should do, as already explained, specify your null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. This can be one tail or two tail. Now another term has come, one tail. What do you mean by one tail? Suppose your hypothesis is one test, new test is better than the previous test. Means one drug is more beneficial or pain relief than the existing drug. Then what do we want to see that difference will be more, only one side, left side, more positive difference. Then you have to apply one tail test. Otherwise, if it is can go either side, difference can be negative, difference can be positive, then you talk about two tail test. Select the appropriate statistical test. ये हमें पता होना चाहिए था कि कौन सा टेस्ट लगता है, तो उसके बाद हमें सैंपल साइज कैलकुलेशन हो सकती थी. So these are the two basic requirements before calculating the sample size. Now planning, third one is minimum effect size. What do you mean by effect size? Basically, it is a difference between the two proportions or two means. Example, the prevalence of denture caries. The prevalence of tooth caries is say 10% with this drug, and prevalence of tooth caries is 20%. Then what is the effect size? Effect size will be 20 minus 10. That means it is 10%. 10% effect size will be there. Or you need to have relative risk or absolute risk, which the case may be. For continuous data, you need to have the means and standard deviation or incidence or prevalence something. Then you have to set for alpha error and beta error. So again, I repeat, for sample size calculation, we need to have effect size. We need to set our hypothesis, null hypothesis. We need to set our alternate hypothesis, because one tail or two tail depends on your alternate hypothesis. Then what is the procedure? There are various methods by virtue of which you can calculate your sample size. Or this first is approximation to the exact distribution, ये assumption है. Guesses, some parameter हम assume करते हैं कि ये parameter ऐसे होगा based on our literature. Prior or small study means literature which has you generally what we do in our research. We do intense review of our literature. Then we get something, what are the shortfalls of this existing on this particular topic, what can be done, what can be done, that is what we need to start, or some prior information, whether it may be mean or it can be your prevalence or something like that, depends on your primary objective. Then procedure, the sample size can be calculated with the help of formulas, which we will discuss today. Ready-made tables are also available, which I will discuss today. Then some software are also available. I will try to how give some idea, but implication. What it can be the implication? N should not be too small. छोटा सैंपल साइज नहीं होना चाहिए. And should not be too large. This is that is why we generally say what is the adequate sample size. So that means it should be not too small, not too large, because a large sample size always give small, always give a significant result even for a smaller difference. So these are the implication. That is why first and the topmost priority is to calculate an adequate sample size. So now I will start with this. Before starting with this, I will give some idea, though I have not incorporated into it, but I presume that prior to this last day, I mean previous day, might have explained, in statistics, we have got two type of data. One is named as categorical data or qualitative data. Qualitative data means there is no measurable scale by virtue of which we can quantify it, but only some qualities are invested into it by virtue of which we say that, or we say that this is this, or we name them. Example, suppose I am talking about gender, boys and girls. There is no scale available to measure it. Only some qualities are invested into them by virtue of which we designate them as a male or female. And then this is called qualitative data, or a categorical data, because these are the categories. Male, so many; female, so many. Color of hairs, blue, black, gray. So blue, black, or something like that. That means category, no name, only naming is available. No scale to measure it. Then another is quantitative data or continuous data, or we can say some scale is available with us by virtue of which we can measure it. Example, age. Age is measured in years, months, days. So this is your age. Age is measured in years or height. Height is measured in centimeter, HB, grams per meter. Distance, walk, 6-minute walk. That means 10 meter, 20 meter, something like that. So it is measurable. So this data is called your continuous data, quantitative data. So we can measure it. So this is sample size is also based on these two different type of variables. Now categorical data is generally represented as percentage, proportions, or prevalences. Example, what is the prevalence of coronavirus? Corona disease cases. So prevalence क्या है? 30% or something like that. 3% death are there. So this is your proportion or prevalence, or it is just percentage. So this is called categorical data, because somebody may have corona, somebody may not have corona. So it is a binary in nature. Category, yes or no, disease present, absent, something like that. So this is called prevalence of the study. When we want to see, calculate the sample size based on proportions, percentage, prevalence, or sometimes for incidence also. Incidence is meant for future studies, prospective studies. I think somebody might have explained to you in due course of, or will explain due course of time. So here prevalence is previous one. Already event has occurred and we just want to see what happened, whether he is suffering from particular disease or not. Then first of all, the prevalence of the study obtained from the previous study or pilot study. Margin of error, how much error you can tolerate. That means permissible error or for this thing. That, or another is permissible error, level of significance. That alpha. Generally, alpha is taken as 5%, already explained. So this is your, these three things you should have ready with you before calculating this. Example, then this is the formula. N is equal to Z alpha square PQ upon D square. I will explain again. Z alpha is 1.96, already explained to you. P is the prevalence of the disease. Q is 1 minus prevalence. If it is proportion, then it is 1 minus. If it is percentage, then 100 minus. So P is the prevalence. Q is either 1 minus P or 100 minus P, depends upon if you are talking about proportion or percentage. There I have already noted down, this is the, and D is the permissible error. D is the permissible error, which you can tolerate. Either means 5% error I am going to tolerate, say, if my prevalence is 40%, then my new prevalence can be either 45% or it can reduce to 35%. Then we say that my permissible error is 5%. 5% on either side. So this will constitute an interval. Interval क्या होता है? It is two value within which 95% of the value lies. That is called 95% confidence interval. So this is your D value. So here Q is this. And another thing is, this is meant for, this is called sample size based on absolute proportion. Absolute proportion means क्या है? When the proportion or incidence or prevalence is more high prevalence, then we need to apply this formula. But then sometimes it is not true, because cancer is always between say 20 out of 1 lakh, 40 or 400 out of 1 lakh. So this is very rare. If we are dealing with the rare disease, rare this, then this formula is applicable. Z alpha square PQ and R square P, where R is the permissible error, P is the proportion, Q is 1 minus P. So this way we can, example, it is not visible to me, but if you can read, say, it is the pregnancy moment, ammonia. Here, 40% of women is anemic. Then what is Q? Q is 1 minus P. It's 40, 1 minus 40 is 0.4 is 0.6. D is permissible error is 5% error, absolute error. Then if Z alpha is 1.96, it is standard, take it granted. Z beta is 0.84, 20%, and alpha 5% means 1.96. You always remember all these two values. Then on applying this value, N is equal to 1.9 square, 0.4 into 0.6 divided by permissible error 0.05 share. Then this is the formula which I've applied. Then sample size comes out to be 369. So overall, if you want to conduct a survey on anemia problem among the pregnant women, then on the prior basis 40% is given, then you need to enroll 369 women for your survey, for your study. But sometimes this is not, and moreover, I have said that 5% error, 40 is your value. If you go 5% down, then it will vary between 35, add 5% among this, then you will get 45. So my limit will vary between 35 to 45 for this purpose. So this is my sample size calculation for an absolute, means not rare proportion. Suppose it is a rare disease, though it seems it is not rare, but for your calculation purpose, suppose we consider it as a rare disease with the same parameters, then this is the formula which you need to apply. Then you will get 2304 cases, women to be enrolled into your study. So this way you can see, that is why when we are conducting an study on cancer, on some other thing, we need to enroll a large sample because their prevalence is very small and it is considered into a rare disease. Here 3% corona is coming, no, 20, 30%. So this way we can calculate. This is the, when we have got two proportions, then we have got, suppose one is response rate of drug A is 40%, that is P1. Response rate of another drug is 60%, that you can say it is P2, that means 60%. So P1 and P2 are given to you, alpha is given to you, beta is again given to you. Then what you need to apply, you have to calculate the P value, which is the sum of these two divided by 2, average of these two proportion. And on applying this formula, Z alpha is 1.9, and here delta, effect size, P1 minus P2. This is delta, you have to calculate difference. This is this average. Z alpha into 2P into 1 minus P plus Z beta is 0.84. Here Z alpha is 1.96, P1 is 6, 1 minus P will be 0.4. Something like this you can apply and calculate the sample size. This Z alpha and beta are the standard values which I have already explained to you. Then assumptions based on past experience. Now this was meant for proportions, but sometimes we do not have proportion. We have continuous data and only standard deviation variation is given. Then we need to apply this formula. This is equal to n, Z alpha is 1.96 plus 1.84 square into Z d sigma d square upon delta square. So these are the expected difference. Standard deviation you need to know, then delta you need to know, then significance level, and this is the general based on this. So this is the all-purpose formula. Then sample size for one sample only. Till now, I was talking about one proportions, and I have also said about the standard deviation. But it is not so. Suppose I know that 6-minute walk of due to particular drug is only 10 meter. Then I want to test this with respect to new treatment, whether this drug gives more walk or not. Then that means I am collecting one sample only and I want to test it with the 10 meter already in the literature available, already available in the prior or previous literature. So here one mean will be there, one standard deviation will be there of the sample, and one standard reference of walk will be given to you. Then you apply this formula. Here sigma is the standard deviation, E is the difference. E is the difference between this mean and your given mean. So this will give you this. Example, Z is equal to 1.96, sigma is 6.95, and suppose एक 10 मीटर है और जो नई वाली है वो 11 मीटर है. 11 minus 10, you will get E is equal to 1. So if you apply this, you will get nearly, you have to include 186. Nearly you have to include 186. So if now you have two means now, then this is the formula. Here difference is mean 1 minus mean 2. And same thing you can apply and you can get your 95 n value. But sometimes pair data. What do you mean by pair data? Suppose in our study, pair data means the person is read in the very beginning. Suppose I am talking about the pain, bas score pain in the initial value. Suppose it is 9. So now again some new treatment was given to this candidate, and after 1 week or 2 week, whatsoever the duration is, I have again taken his or her reading, then this will be your pair data, pre-post values. Pre and post value when we talk, then it becomes a pair data. Means, or indirectly, you can say when there is a follow-up, when there is a follow-up of the student or patient, then it is always treated as a pair data. So in the case of pair data, this is the formula as usual, and pair data in case of proportion, this is the formula that I have explained, that P1, P2 is the meaningful difference. P is just your average of the two mean P. ठीक है, average of the two, P1 plus P2 by 2. Then another generalization is outcome. When binary outcome is there, this is the study meant for case control study. There are 3 types of main studies. Number 1 is your cross-sectional study. Cross-sectional study means once the patient will come to you, you just collect the data, no medication is given, no follow-up is taken, and you leave the patient in the same situation. This is called cross-section, snapshot picture of the patient is your cross-section. One point of time, whatsoever the relevant information was available, you can take them and say, and you calculate the sample size based on this will be your cross-sectional study. Another study is your case control study. Case control study means you know the event has occurred. Event means किसी को बीमारी हो गई. Event has already occurred, you know. Then you want to associate different factors after event. Then you try to go retrospectively. Then you try to correlate these retrospective informations or data collected retrospectively. Then this is called case control. Example, आपके पास कोई आदमी आया, कैंसर उसको प्रेजेंट है या नहीं है आपको पता है, तो आप क्या करते हैं, कैंसर देखा, उसके बाद आपने जो ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट व्हाट आर द फैक्टर्स व्हिच लेड टू द occurrence of this cancer. So this is already, that means event has already occurred. You know that event, some are cancer cases, some will be non-cancer cases, you know. So this will be your a retrospective study design. Then another is prospective study design. Prospective study means all are healthy, or means at least no risk was there. You enroll them and watch them with the passage of time. Then you see whether the particular event after 1 month or whatsoever your time is, after duration, some duration, you try to see whether disease has occurred or not. इन फ्यूचर जो आप लोग अच्छे वाले पेशेंट से स्टार्ट करते हो, कुछ ट्रीटमेंट देते हो उनको, आफ्टर 6 महीने बाद 1 महीने बाद you try to see whether some symptoms have developed or not, then this study is designated as a prospective study design. For that purpose, binary means yes or no, then this formula can be applied. This is there. Then pair data. Okay. Then another is prospective study design. Sometimes happen that we have got the event depends upon the time also. Example, all cancer cases, they enrolled, had their chemo for 6 months, radiotherapy for 2 months. That means they have completed their course. Now it is found that they do not have symptom of cancer, or that means it is destroyed, rather you can say no more cancer is there. Now you enroll all these cases who had chemo and radiotherapy. After 1 year, you try to see whether this cancer recur again or not. That means already healthy one seen, followed up for 1 year and try to see whether recurrence was there or not, then this type of study is called a prospective study design. Especially survival designs होते हैं ये, but they come under prospective study design. For that purpose, with the help of this, we can calculate the, and this is the hypothesis for this. And one more recently, what we are doing, we are conducting RCTs. RCT means randomized controlled trials. This is generally we do in our hospital setup. This is what we are doing in our hospitals. We have got only we have got drugs. We want to see whether efficacy is there, whether it is effective or not, whether it is superior, inferior, or equivalent one. Then we go with the RCTs. I need not to explain that RCT is conducted in the closed environment, controlled and seen by the investigator. But drug effect, their effect, poison, toxicity, and other things are also noted. Then this RCT is nowadays this cancer this COVID trial, which we are having plasma, this thing, this is also an RCT one. So this is RCT. For this purpose, this is the sample size calculation. The simplest and approximate sample size formula for binary outcome, assuming alpha is equal to 5%, power 90. In our RCT, we increase the power. Why we increase? So that we get the truth. So power, that means size of the error is reduced. Error, type 2 error is reduced, but this is fixed. Then equal in two groups, this is the formula. N1, P1 is the event rate of the first, P2 is the event rate of the second. Control one, control means no drug given, placebo. Then R will be P1 upon P2. Then this R is when substituted here, and P2 we know control thing, everything is known to us, then we can calculate the N. N is per arm. This N will be number of cases to be included in arm. I have taken this from Lancet journal, which is a very good journal as far as RCTs are concerned. And so I found it there. Here alpha 80% 1.96 and 5% this is 7.85. If I go with 90% alpha 1%, then this will be 14.88, something like this. Substitute accordingly. But I have taken here 10 point because generally we take 90% error at type 2, 5% type 1. Then this is the value which I have put here. So this way we can calculate this. This. What are the various software by virtue of which you can calculate your sample size? Commonly used programs are APIINFO. This is developed by CDC Atlanta people, which is a government. This by virtue of which we can calculate the sample size for cohort studies, or matched studies, case control studies. We can calculate. This is given there. Another is Southwest Oncology Group for clinical trials. This is the site. UCLA is basically, this is the also, this is developed by the STATA program people, UCLA. Commercial product है, SPSS है, लेकिन SPSS does not give but separate version you have to purchase or sample size. STATA has got, SAS has got, SAS is nothing but system analysis software. This is a statistical soft package for social sciences. Stata is basically an UK developed software for statistical analysis. Another site is this university, Statsol University. In the university they have developed, this is the site, power analysis. If you are not in a position to calculate the sample size, even at the end of the day, if you calculate the power, then at least your purpose is solved, that at least you have tried how much truth I have seen in my data. Another is NCSS.com, pass. All these are commercial. Now, sometimes now off the record, I repeat, off the record, we generally try to have smaller sample. In a study, basically we should have adequate sample size, but because of the time and in MSc or postgraduate degrees, I think our purpose generally, UGC generally objective is to make the student familiar with the research. So, and in hospital scenarios, this is fine when we are talking in the field or when we are talking about the drugs or some large scale studies. But in hospital studies, PG student, they need to have some smaller sample, maybe representative of the population. Then how we can reduce our smaller sample size? This is I should not have given as a true statistician, but looking at the situation and scenario, I see that people generally have got problems to meet with hundreds and hundreds of sample during their PG student. So first is alpha error को increase कर दो. If you increase from 5 to 10, your sample size will be reduced. If you increase the error, that means we are compromising ourselves. This way, the people does which should not be done, in my sincerely should not be done. But काम चलाने के लिए लोग ये हेराफेरी कर जाते हैं, जिसकी वजह से smaller sample is taken and which should not be taken. And sometimes one tail test is applied, whereas that is why some small sample is available with them instead of two tail test. Double, these are the various possibility. What are the problems? Dichotomy, less serious outcome, don't sacrifice clinical face value. This you should always remember. In hospital, we generally also consider this clinical face validity. Sample is not that much important to us, but clinical scenario is very important to us. So see, this is the given by these people how to get with the smaller sample. Most composite outcome बनाओ और heterogeneity को reduce करो, lengthen your follow-up period. If follow-up period is lengthened, then more people will come at various follow-ups. That means you are increasing your sample size. If there are 6 follow-ups and 10 cases are there, this is same as 61 time point sample. Select higher risk study subjects. So, if smaller, low incidence cases always gives more sample size. So that is why the study, if study is higher risk study, then already sample size will reduce to the smallest one. Then to decrease variability, I should not say this. So increase smaller sample, increase the unequal variance, compromise. And here in our situation, which I have found, especially in dental scenario and even physiotherapy scenario, the things are very, very costly. Even one test is more costly than it sometimes give a problem to the students. So we have to compromise somewhere the sample size somewhere. Then these are the standards things. And this thing I want to explain that sample size. Till now, I was relating how to calculate your sample size based on your formulas. But the second option is ready-made tables are available. Ready-made tables are available, and we can use those tables to get the p-value or comparison, I mean critical value, whether we reject null hypothesis or to select the null hypothesis. This table shows that from where I generally we say what is the normal value at 5%. So it is 1.96 always, how it is there. So this is Z value, and I want to calculate on the basis of 5%. So look at here, 1.96 from where it has come. So you go here, select 1, 1.96. I'm saying what is the probability of 1.96? It is 5% generally. So see here, 1.9 has come this side, then go horizontally till 6, cross-sectional of 6 is there. It is 0.025. But I said that in normal distribution, 50% of the observation are this side and 50% of the observation are this side. That means the probability of 5% is halved. That is 2.5 this side, 2.5 this side. So here this proportion is 0.025 is there. So 5% probability is basically 1.96. Minus sign is because I am studying this side only, so it is minus sign, right? Then Z beta is basically here. Z beta is 0.84, 0.8, then 4 cross sectional is 20%. So that is what we have said, like by this we can read our Z tables, Z table. Now suppose I am talking about chi-square test, two proportions. Two proportion is basically chi-square test. So chi-square test is really P1 is 10% and P2 is 20%. Smaller is taken this side, larger is taken this side. So smaller is 10%. So 10% is this one, 30% is this way, larger is this way. So it is anywhere between uh, expected difference. So it is 20% difference. What is the difference here? E 30 minus 10, 20. So 20% is this way. It is the cross section of 0.1 and 0.2. It is 48. So if your study says that P1 is 10%, P2 is 30%, and then you need to calculate 48 cases. But you need to calculate 48 cases. This way we can see, we can calculate the sample size from the ready-made samples. Only the thing is you should know what is my P1, what is my P2, and which test is applicable. Here I say for Z test is applicable, but chi-square test is also applicable. So chi-square is basically square of the Z. So it is the square of the normal distribution. Yes. Hello. Similarly, T. Hello. हेलो
यस सर,
हाँ बोलिए।
हाँ जी सर, ऑडिबल हैं आप?
अच्छा ठीक है, चलो। Similarly, when we talk about p-test we can also calculate the sample size when n1 and n2 when some value is given, you can find out. Another version is nomogram. This is very important. Generally, it is generalized version of getting the normal. Say, look here, one proportion is 12%, another proportion is 9%. But here, to justify, to read this, we need to have a standardized difference. How to calculate standardized difference? Take the difference, divide by the standard error. Standard error is P, Q under root. So this way we get 0.1 as standard difference. Now read here, our power is 80% and difference is, this is standardized difference. Standardized difference we obtained as 0.1. If you put a scale between 1 and 0.1 and 80, you get a sample size of nearly 3000. This is what we got here. If I want to have a 90% power, then I also again get something more than 3000. This is got we, but we get from the nomogram. This is called nomogram. Here you have to calculate first the standard difference. Standard difference is basically, I again repeat, that the difference between the two proportions divided by the standard error, square root of the standard error. I mean standard error. This is standard error. So this is called standardized difference. So you can have all this. And another thing is given, if we are not getting this, we can have post hoc sample size. This is called power analysis. You have already conducted a study on the basis of your result and a hypothesis. You want to see whether my sample size was adequate or not. So this is called power analysis. It is opposite to that. एक तो शुरू करते करना चाहिए, दूसरा जो power analysis है, at the end of the study, after analysis, you can have. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So that was a very detailed information, sir, about the sample size determination. And thank you very much, sir. Now I would ask audience to have, if any doubt, please they can ask in the chat box. You can type your question in the chat box. We will receive your question. So we have a question. May I take the question, sir?
Oh, fine, fine, no problem.
So can you explain the sample size calculation on the basis of outcome measures, primary or secondary? So Dr. Kavita has asked the question, sir.
Okay, okay. Basically, I explained to you that sample size is always on the basis of
आपकी
primary.
वॉइस थोड़ी कम आ रही है, सर. थोड़ी सी माइक के नजदीक जाना पड़ेगा. वॉइस थोड़ी कम आ रही है.
Okay, sample size is generally based on only based on primary objective. Primary objective. Hello.
Yes, sir. Voice is coming, sir. You can speak.
Okay. So based on primary objectives. Primary objectives, sometimes it is the comparison of two drugs, response rate of two drugs. So it is basically comparison of two proportions, P1 and P2. So I have already given you the formula. So we can calculate the sample size on the basis of only it is calculated for primary objective. But you people have or other people have, the primary objective should be one. Secondary objective you can have as many as you can. But what we do in our research, we write down what is the efficacy of this, what is the comparison of this, association of this. We have only one set of questions. So in my opinion, you should have two type of this thing. Primary objective single, one related to your title, and secondary objective is based as many as you can have, A, B, C or Z even. So generally sample size is one based on primary. Okay.
So, Dr. Kavita, I hope you have your doubt has been taken. Sir, she wants to repeat you the all-purpose formula, Dr. Kavita. So,
all-purpose formula is basically the difference divided by the standard error of difference. Standard error is nothing but a standard deviation of all possible samples which can be drawn. It is a very big this thing. Standard error क्या होती है? सैंपल की एक मीन होती है, सैंपल की एक स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन होती है, लेकिन जो हमारा सैंपल है वो हजारों में से एक होता है. तो कभी किसी का सैंपल एक होता है, किसी का सैंपल दूसरा होता है. तो जो उसकी स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन होती है वेरियस सैंपल्स की, वो स्टैंडर्ड एरर होती है. मोटे तौर पर हम लोग कह सकते हैं कि स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन. एग्जांपल मैं बताता हूँ. मेरे पास 3 लोग हैं, एक की तनख्वाह 10 रुपये, दूसरे की तनख्वाह 20 रुपये, तीसरे की तनख्वाह 30 रुपये. यदि मैंने 2 आदमियों का सैंपल लेना है तो 1 और 10 और 20 का लूंगा तो व्हाट इज माय मीन? मीन इज 15, 10 plus 20. But if I take A and C, then my mean will be 20. If I take B and C, my mean will be 25. That means everywhere mean is changing. That means you will get different proportion. For this, if I repeat all these, if I take all these things, these means, and calculate the sample standard deviation of these, then we will get standard error. Standard error is मोटे तौर पर कह सकते हो कि पॉपुलेशन के अंदर जितने भी सैंपल पॉसिबल हैं उनकी स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन को स्टैंडर्ड एरर कहते हैं, जो कि हम कभी पा ही नहीं सकते, क्योंकि हजारों में सैंपल होता पॉपुलेशन होती है, उनमें से सैंपल हम 10, 20, 30 का लेते हैं, बाकी 1000 में से 30 ले लिए, 970 को हम डिस्कार्ड करते हैं. तो वो एक स्टैंडर्ड एरर पॉपुलेशन की स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन है. मोटे तौर पर ये बात है, जो कि होती है standard deviation of the sample divided by square root of the n. Standard deviation of the sample divided by square root of n. वो स्टैंडर्ड एरर कहलाती है. ओके
Sir,
बाय डेफिनेशन. हाँ.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you, there is
By
one more question. Just wanted to update. There is one more question we have in the chat box. So I think Dr. Kavita's question, sir, you have already taken. This is Dr. Harda Shah. She wants to ask the question, sir. Can you take your chat box? उसमें आपको एक question दिखाई देगा. मैं read करता हूँ आपके लिए, sir. As for example, outcome measures are 6MWR, EFT and QL. These are some technical outcome measures, sir, जो हम अपनी physiotherapy की studies में use करते हैं. So, if sample sizes are different, what can be accepted? The question is this.
This is the, you have gone through your literature review. Okay, your objective is one. See, if your
Dr. Harda, I would request you to communicate and on your speaker so that you can communicate with sir.
Which speaker here?
Sir, yeah. Dr. Harda आपसे communicate करके अपना doubt clear करना चाहते हैं.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. My side Harda Shah. Hello.
I'm audible.
Yes, sir. My question was, is the primary output only if we have various variables like 6-minute walk test and quality of life or pulmonary function test? My question was, if I calculated the sample size and it is showing a different for all these variables, so what is the minimum sample size I should have to take?
Maximum sample size which you obtain for all these variables. You have to calculate for all the variables and take the maximum of that.
Okay,
that
okay.
Your sample size.
Okay, I got my answer.
Okay, okay.
So, any more questions from the delegates? I think one. So, sir, there is one more question. Sir, you are getting my voice?
Yes.
How to calculate sample size without having the data from previous studies?
Okay.
So
there are two possibilities. One is conduct a pilot study and get your relevant information, then calculate the sample size. That's all. It will be calculated on the basis of your pilot study. Generally, I say that we are all becoming a Newton or something like that, because our study is the new study. If you search the literature, you will find something. If it is not available, go for pilot one and calculate the sample size accordingly.
Sir, in this, I would like to add one thing to the same question. Can I ask, sir?
Sure.
Sir, what if we require prevalence of a problem in identifying the sample size? So what if the prevalence itself is not available? Then we are taking a pilot study with a small sample. So will that prevalence from the pilot study will be applicable?
Pilot study is generally taken, depends upon your hypothesis again. Sometimes in animal study, total sample size is not more than 10. Then you have to see 2-3 animals. If you are studying you are conducting some survey, then you have to go for 30 samples. Or if it is a costly one, you have to go with 10, 5, 10, something like. You are right, it may vary, because that is what I told to you. If I have got 3 people, I want to select 2 persons, then the mean will vary. As I told you, 10 plus 20 is 15, 10 plus 30 is 25, 20 and 30 is 25. Mean is varying from 15 to 25. So you are rightly said, it is questionable, but you have a lead that so that you can start.
Okay, sir.
Decrease your error. You will get accurate sample size. If
Okay,
you are
sir.
not so sure.
Size calculation is same for a prospective or a retrospective study. So for both the studies, it can be same.
It varies.
It varies.
It varies
It
sometimes
varies.
because prospective study design may the response rate you don't know.
Okay.
And here is, and you have to start with a time also. It will vary. It is time to event. In prospective study designs, event is not known to you and it also depends upon time. But generally in hospital setting, sorry, generally in hospital setting, we have fixed time, fixed prospective study time. It will vary. If P1, P2 are same, sample size will be same then.
Yes, sir. Sir, is there any different calculation for correlation studies?
Yes, this is a correlation study. There is a different formula. It is based on R और बीटा regression के लिए बीटा है.
Like, sir, I have read that you belong to liver and biliary. We are from Institute of Transplantation Sciences, IKD-RCITS, Civil Hospital, Ahmedabad. Sir, one of my student is doing a correlation study. Means you want to find out what is a correlation between MELD sodium score and the frailty among pre-liver transplant patients.
And this priority is basically your yes or no. It is a categorical data.
It's whether the MELD sodium score increases, the frailty increases or not. We have collected the data. We have started collecting the data.
It is based on R. Regression के लिए अलग फार्मूला है.
अच्छा, तो वो फॉर्मूला अलग होगा ना सर?
हाँ, वो डिफरेंट होता है इससे.
सर, कैन आप डिस्क्राइब कर सकते हैं क्या कि वो नेक्स्ट टाइम के ऐसा कुछ?
हाँ, basically I use NMaster and it is developed by Balor people and you can find there, and even if you Google it, you will get a formula.
Sir, वो NMaster is a software?
It's a software.
Okay.
It's available with the Balor people, CMC Balor.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. But I have explained only the most commonly used formulas which are applicable. Otherwise, there are logistic regression is there, then Cox regression is there. There are 101 tests, and sometimes we have Poisson data is there. Then we have got different formulas. I have explained only majority of the time we are using formulas that I have already explained to you. These are some special, very occasionally used formulas.
Thank you very much.
But it is possible. R can be calculated. Yes.
Okay.
But in that scenario, the category will be continuous versus continuous. That means both should be continuous data. You write here open EPI. It is also developed by CDC Atlanta. So if this is the main menu. Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. You are audible. Please go ahead.
Go to main menu. Then there is so many things that software is basically meant for summary values. What do we mean by summary values? Summary value means already calculated mean, standard deviation, etc., so on and so forth. Now there is one option, some menu is there, sample size. Is there sample size? Power and sample size. Sample size there, double click it. If you are talking about proportion, you talk about proportion here. You can calculate sample size easily. This is the, you can hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
It is visible to all the participants?
Yes, sir. Your screen is visible.
Okay, enter the new data. Suppose you are conducting a survey, and the total population for study is 5,000, and anticipated frequency is 30%. Say 30%. You can write here 30%. And what is your area? This is limit as 5%. Effect size is 1. Calculate. If you say calculate, then you will get sample size.
Okay.
Generally, we take 95 as sample size. So that means according to it, 304 is required.
Is
Only
required.
here, new idea they have added. This is your design effect. Here, design effect means either you are using cluster sampling or some other sampling. But here, generally in our hospital setting, we take non-cluster sampling. So it is basically design effect is equal to 1. Here, that is why they have taken 1 as a design effect. And so what is better will be our sample size at 95% interval. It will be 304. 304. So we can calculate sample size from here. Go back again. Suppose sample size is again and unmatched CC, case control study. See, if somebody asked now, a sample size will be same or not, but here there are two different. This is for case control. This is for cohort studies, है ना, prospective studies. So now unmatched studies के लिए क्या है? This is for retrospective study. Enter here new data. So 95% CI, power generally we take at 80%. Ratio case to control ratio 1:1. Then 40% control में effect है. Then effect odd ratio you have to give. But sometimes if we do not have odd ratio, give the cases ratio. Say it is 20%. Automatically the odd ratio will be calculated. Then you apply, calculate only, take this Placis 1. Then you have to calculate 94 cases, 94 controls. This way we can go. But all these study sample size calculation depends upon your study design. Generally, we have a proportion study design or mean comparison of two drugs. Then that is why, or two techniques. Sometimes we come across with the agreement analysis, agreement type of study. Then there is a different formula, that means kappa is used there. Then that is a separate program is there for calculation of sample size. But here again, for cohort study, if you go double click it, mean difference. This is the most important. Mean difference is there. Here, how many, what you need? Mean difference 95%, power 80%, ratio sample 1:1. पहले वाली का मीन दो 132, स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन दो, जे दो, दूसरी वाली का दो, तीसरी वाली का दो, एंड कैलकुलेट, you will get sample size as 152, 152. I don't know whether you people are in a position to cover 100 cases or not. I don't know. But many clinical department do not have enough cases sometimes.
Infrastructure,
So,
sir. Sometimes infrastructure is on there.
sometimes then we have to compromise somewhere. So here it is with these parameters, sample size can be calculated with this help. So this was also one addition. Power, as I already told to you, it is the counter. This is ये beginning में होता है, ये end में किया जाता है. End में करने का, clinical trial में करने का, power analysis के लिए है. So many things are given. Sample size कितना था और percentage outcome कितने, sample size adequate है कि नहीं है, so you can calculate. So this gives you the way which we do not allow, or we generally calculate the sample size in the very beginning, because we are bound by our SRBs, IRBs, and these so many societies are there. Then ethical board is there, So they need sample size in the very beginning. So that is why we calculate sample size. We do not conduct power analysis only in research manuscript or sometime somewhere we want to send the paper. Then we calculate sample power analysis. If sample size calculation is not done in the beginning. Okay.
That was great, sir.